What's up, HyperFast Nation? On this episode of the show, I sat down with a gentleman from New York City who wears multiple different hats. He's a successful real estate agent, social media influencer, and now has a digital marketing agency that helps real estate agents, property management, developers expand their social reach. He just wrote an amazing book as well. Welcome to the show, Ryan Garson. How's it going, Ryan?
Great.
Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Dan.
Thank you. I'm excited to have you on. You know, as we were talking about before the show, you wear a lot of hats, have a lot of different roles in real estate, and you just came out with a book too, so I'm sure we'll dive into that. Why don't you give our listeners here on the HyperFast show a little background on who you are and how you got to where you are
Great,
today.
definitely. I'll try to be hyper fast as I can on this this intro. So I'm from South Florida. I moved to New York 10 years ago. I had about 10 different jobs when my first 2 years in New York City, really trying to find my path. Before that, I ran a promotion company where I went to school at USF in Tampa. I pretty much ran all the clubs. And I owned a chain of pet stores in South Florida. So I sold that business when I was 30, came to New York, had 10 different jobs, got into real estate. Honestly, I love $1 Million Listing. That show is it was my vibe. I really, I always loved going to open houses, looking at architecture. I'm a people person. But I love the art of the deal, the creative marketing that they were doing. It really resonated with me, and I went right into it, and I did all rentals my first couple of years. I think and I always tell new agents this, seeing property is so important. I was going on tours showing renters 8, 10 properties at a time. And by 2 years went by, I really didn't do any sales. I was really focused just on doing as many deals as I can. And at that time, it was just a lot of rentals. But, I saw so many different apartments. I was in, thousands of apartments, hundreds of buildings. And I just knew every single building in New York City. So, fast forward, I'm starting to really kind of get into my groove and build my business as a realtor. Just to kind of give you an idea, maybe doing, around $300,000-$400,000 in GCI, which is a lot of money, not so much in New York City. The cost of living is expensive there. And then I started to really focus in on building my brand on social media. And I connected with a social media manager that really just helped me get to that next level. I'm not the best copywriter, and I don't really have any experience in graphic design. And as a realtor, I have 100 jobs, so it was really hard for me to be consistent. So I think working with her really kind of gave me some direction. She I usually always had the ideas, and she would kind of just take that to fruition. And so I really, the way that my followers went up to my GCI, I maybe 4 years ago, I had, 2,000 or 3,000. Now I have about 16,000. And when I let's just call it at 2,000, I had a $300,000 GCI, but then at 7,500, it went up to 500,000. When I reached 10,000 followers, it went up to 800,000. And now I'm at my team, we did over $2 million GCI, and I have 16,000 followers, and I probably did 70% of that. So, the more followers that I got, the more influence that I kind of had, the more people I reached with my message. I really started to see that translate. So I started Very Social, which is a social media agency for real estate professionals. Right now we have about 90 clients. Most of them are real estate agents, some developers, management companies, real estate attorneys, title people. So we, again, it's been 2 years now, and we really just started off as like a social media management company where we would like collaborate with them on like getting their post up, doing their copy, creating graphic design, doing amazing Instagram stories. And now we're like a full-on agency where we're doing LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube, email marketing, paid ads. We have an in-house videographer and photographer. So we're really like a one-stop shop for real estate agents. Like we're running, agents that are just starting off to like, teams that have 10 people, 20 people on the teams that are doing, 5 to, 20, $10 million in GCI. And it's been great. And I, just managing and overseeing that many, realtors' social media, I've kind of like picked up to see like what works, what doesn't work, really on a macro level. And then I decided to share a lot of like what I do because I'm also a content creator. Like that's part of my job. It's kind of crazy now. Like as a realtor, you kind of really have to schedule time to like actually create content, to take pictures, to do videos. And so I wrote a book called The Very Social Broker. And you could find it on Amazon, and it really kind of like dives into like the strategy behind creating content, how to be consistent with it, how to do really good video marketing. It's a great book. I highly recommend it. And so I've got a lot of hats. I'm a broker with a team in New York City with Compass. I have the CEO and founder of Very Social. And I just wrote the book, Very Social Broker. And you can follow me on Instagram at Ryan G Sales NYC.
Well, I am very impressed by all the different things you've been able to accomplish. And I think it's really cool how it seems like the opportunities in real estate have expanded dramatically the last decade or so. And, I imagine 40, 50 years ago, if you were an agent, that's pretty much what you did. But now there just seems to be so many different areas where people can expand, whether it's investing or teaching other people how to do marketing like you're doing. So, I'm sure we'll get into that a little bit later, like how you manage all of these different activities and businesses. Right now, though, I want to focus on how you built your following. 'Cause it's really interesting that your GCI, your gross commission income, went up as your followers did. And
so
I imagine you've got high quality followers, right? Because 10, 15,000, like there's some huge accounts out there, but at that level of followers, you're generating a hell of a lot of income.
Yeah, totally. I think the key is consistency. I post, I try to do at least 5 days a week on InFeed, and then I probably do, maybe 80 stories a week, probably, close to 10 a day, if not more. The stories are really where I connect with my followers. I'm also probably on like 200 DMs a month. So like I'm really talking to people. I love like talking about like traditional marketing and new marketing. And, a lot of brokers back in the day, or even they still do, they knock on doors, they make phone calls. Like, I don't do that. Like, I really focus on, like, creating content that's going to connect with my followers, and I have a lot of conversations that way. I also spend a lot of time on my Instagram, like, commenting and engaging with them, too. You can't just expect to, like, post a picture of yourself and somebody that you're not, like, showing love to is going to show love to you. Like, you should be on there engaging with your sphere of influence, like your followers, like on Instagram that are following you. That's your target market. Like your followers are your sphere of influence, your past clients, your friends, your family, and then those followers grow because if you're showing love and you're commenting and you're reposting or resharing their content, and they start to do that for you. your followers are going to grow organically that way, because people, like, if, like, they're following someone that's a friend and they repost, like, they're probably going to, like, follow you too. It's all about trust. Real estate has always been about trust. And, if somebody's, like, reposting or sharing your content and they're friends with them, or they know them, or they like their content, then they're more likely to follow you. And, like, what I try to do is really build trust online, like, by the content that I'm creating. Like, it's authentic what I'm creating.
What do you do to build that trust specifically?
I just lean in on what I'm passionate about. I have my pillars of content, and I'm really strategic about how I create content on my pillars. Like, I have it written down, and I'm, like, looking at them, and, like, I'm like, all right, like, I create content based on the month, based on the season, but, like, my pillars of content are real estate, social media, my family, my neighborhood, food, fashion. Those are kind of, like, my core. And, I'm always just creating content. Like, I'm in New York City, very easy place to, create content, to talk about, like, what's going on, a new building, a new park, a new event, the Macy's Day Parade. Like, there's so much content. I read the news a lot. I'm always, like, that's where I get a lot of my ideas, is just, like, coming up, seeing what's trending, what's on, what the newspapers are reading about, and then I just talk about it. I give my opinion, and I also do bagel reviews. So I think that kind of, like, caught on, like, copy and repeat. Like, I saw Dave Portnoy doing the pizza reviews. Everyone loves them. I'm like, well, how could I do something like that? I love bagels. I feel like bagels are a staple in a neighborhood, and so I went around and just reviewed bagels. Like, I'm not like a chef or a food critic, but, like, it kind of, like, caught on. And I actually partnered up with someone who did events called Bagel Fest, and, like, I got 20 of the top bagel vendors in New York City, and we had an event with thousands of people there. So it just kind of, like, organically, like, led to that, and I have, like, a ton of relationships with bagel stores now. Like, I walk in to a bagel shop, and they're like, and I have, like, instant credibility. It's kind of, it just happened by creating content. And I also invest in my content. Like, I work with a videographer. I have somebody helping me with my social, like I said before. So I have professional pictures done. I invest my time, and I invest in the vendors that I work with to really help, like, elevate my content.
What platforms do you focus on? So far you've mentioned Instagram a lot. Are there other platforms?
I'm on all the major platforms, but I haven't really hit on them. I really hit on Instagram. I repost a lot of the stuff I do on Facebook. LinkedIn has been actually pretty good for me lately. I kind of take what I'm posting on Instagram and just, like, cater it more towards LinkedIn, which are more professionals, more like, long form, like, copywriting. I'm on TikTok, which I've had a couple videos go viral, but nothing crazy. Like, my average view is probably, like, 3,000 or 4,000 per video on Instagram, but I only get, like, 500 views on TikTok. But I am consistent, and I'm working on it, and I feel like TikTok is, it's a whole nother animal. And the same thing with YouTube. I'm on YouTube too. I have, like, 400 subscribers. So, listen, I don't have the answer. I am not, like, a genius creator, but I'm also a real estate agent. I'm not a professional content creator. Right. I'm just, like, putting myself out there. I'm doing the best I can. But I will say, people ask me, oh, how would you say, like, what percentage of your sales are coming from Instagram? And it's, like, hard to really say that, because I think it's, like, just like a touch point. It's like, having a park bench or a billboard, except, like, you're having a different message every day, and you're touching these people. And I have conversations all the time. Like, whenever I'll bump into someone, or I'm at an event, I see someone, or someone calls me and, like, oh, your social's great. I love that video you did. So, like, that's when I really know that it's working. It's, like, those touch points. I like to call it, like, mind share. I connect with my sphere through, like, creating content that, like, that resonates with them.
Yeah, I feel like you're right on the measuring it. It is hard to measure, but it definitely helps from a relationship building. Like these people see your posts every day, or probably your stories more, and then when they need to buy or sell a home, like you've been in their feed 10 times.
Yeah,
so
I also think the problem with real estate agents is that they don't really run their business like a business. Like they're really on like deal to deal, and they're not looking at like their annual GCI and like, oh, all right, I did 500,000 GCI. I should be putting like 10% to marketing. Like I don't know if they're more like, okay, I have like, these 3 closings coming up, that's going to be $80,000 in cash flow. Okay, I can swing this. And I think like if we're going to measure how social media works, like, you got to start with the basics. Like how many followers am I gaining? What's my reach? How many comments am I getting? How many likes am I getting? And then like kind of doing what kind of how I measured it. Like, this is not something that you really like, it's like an annual thing. Like you really got to like put the time into it if you really want it to pay off. And if you look at the number of followers you have compared to your GCI, you're going to see growth.
What would your advice be to someone who's new in the industry, looking to build their social media profile and to get to the point where you are, where you're getting deals?
See what other people are doing. See what the top agents are doing. See what the top content creators are doing. There's a lot of great people in the Tom Ferry system that are creating some awesome content. And I would see what they're doing and make it your own. I would see a lot of property and videotape that. Go to open houses. See property, go to new developments, videotape that, talk about your day. A day in the life is always really good. I would talk about successes. I think that's something I really always do as a real estate agent. Like on all my sales, like I talk about how I sold that apartment. It's never easy, and there's always a story to tell, and there's always like certain things that you do. I would brag about that. Like, leverage your success to get more business. I really believe in that, and I think social media is a great platform to promote that.
Who are some of the mentors or people maybe indirectly that mentored you, that you just saw what they were doing and, that influenced you to... I
mean, you could start with $1 Million Risk Listing. Ryan Serhan's a beast. Like, honestly, it almost intimidates me like to watch his videos and then try to do my own content. But his YouTube vlog is freaking awesome. Like it's just really, he's so good. He's just really great on film. He makes it entertaining, educational. Josh Altman's pretty good. Who else is good on? Like a Tom Ferry system, I think Jason Pantana is like a marketing genius. Like I love watching him. The Broke Agent, Matt Leonetti, those two have a podcast called Over Ask. Zachary Loft is really good. He has like 1.6 million followers on TikTok. Glenda Baker is really good. Dan O'Neill. Yeah, I think those are some of the top people. Let's say in South Florida, in South Florida, the content's really different. It's like very like sexy and like, oceanfront properties. I think everyone likes to see those like beautiful homes. And also like, I think getting in with like the condos, the food scene, the hospitality scene. I feel like the content there is like very open and sexy. But I think there's like a lot of potential in South Florida. I feel like there's not really anybody who's just like dominating the social scene that's in the real estate space. Who's pretty good? He does investments. Abdul, the king of Miami real estate. I think he did some sort of event. He's pretty good.
Yeah, we had a speaker at our event last week.
Sarah Desmay is really good, right?
She was one of them, and then Mari Juliet. She's agent in kind of focuses on Pompano, Fort Lauderdale, Boca Raton, kind of, but she's growing like crazy, mostly because of TikTok, like just making TikTok videos.
Yeah, Sarah's great
as
because she's very real. She goes through her life. I would say she only posts like 10 or 15% real estate. A lot of it's just like that Miami lifestyle, which I think people want to see, and she does a great job showing off. And that's the thing. It's like I really believe in like the 80-20 rule. Like, 20% should be real estate, and you just sprinkle in the real estate stuff. Like, make them like you based on like what your pillars are, what you're passionate about, like your family, going to the gym, going to restaurants, like being in your community. And then like, don't overload them with like listing posts and transaction posts and, why to work with me as a realtor. Like, I think you got to sprinkle that in.
Right. Well, switching gears for a minute or two, how do you manage all of these different businesses? Like you're helping, 80 different business people with their social media. I think you said 80. You've got, your real estate sales and what your team is doing there. The book, of course. Like, how do you manage?
I invest in my business and I run my business like a business. Like, I have a really great staff and I delegate. I'm not a micromanager. I think that's another problem that real estate agents have. They like to do it all. They like to touch every single piece of a transaction. Like, I like to make the deals. I like to bring in the business. I like to sell the properties. There's a lot of in New York City. There's a ton of paperwork. We have co-ops that we have board packages like this big. That's like probably could take anywhere from 20 to 30 hours to do. So I delegate. I delegate things I don't want to do and like where my strengths aren't. So like even with like social media, like when it comes to like copywriting or graphic design or even just doing the posting for me, like I have somebody who does that for me. I think, really like looking at your business, looking at all the different tasks and operations that it takes to actually do it, from like, running comps to taking out buyers to showing properties on listings to putting together a listing pitch to mailers. Like, there's so many different jobs we have as real estate professionals. I think really focus in on what you're good at and like build a team that could like support you and where you can collaborate together so you can all grow.
When did you make your first hire?
A couple years in, because I was doing rentals, running around. I was really like being an agent, and like that it was hard for me to give it up a little bit too, because I was so used to like just doing every single part of the process. But I was like kind of a late bloomer. I never had that Rolodex. Like, I got to the business where I'm at right now because of hard work, hustle, creative marketing, and social media.
Yeah, I think a lot of agents struggle to make that first hire.
It's an investment. Like, agents don't have that like entrepreneurial, like they do, but they don't. Like they don't really look at their business like a business.
What and then after you made the first hire, how much longer did it take for you until you made your second hire?
Even like my first hire was kind of like hiring a junior agent and having them like do a lot of the work, so I didn't have to pay them. It really, now the way I have my team set up, I have a 10-person team. So I have a director of operations, and she handles all the scheduling, the board packaging, the board packages, the listing agreements, like the HR part of my business. I have a marketing director that handles like all the marketing, oversees everything. Collaborates with me on a lot of ideas, because I'm very creative and I have ideas, but I need them to be like flushed out and really like kind of brought to real life. I have a sales assistant that like does a lot of showings, takes out buyers, just does a lot of like the kind of little jobs and tasks that need to be done. And then I have a social media manager that manages all the social media for all of my agents. So then, I have 6 agents, including myself. But I think you start with the operations person, and you could always outsource a marketing person. I mean, that's what my company does. I think once you start to really like lean into it, it's great to have somebody like there, like boots on the ground, that can create content with you. But you know, you can always outsource like a videographer, a photographer, a social media manager. You know, I think if you can really, you know, invest in your business, like it'll pay off. Like invest in the right people to help you grow, and you will grow.
I agree completely. Before we wrap up here, Ryan, I always like to end with a HyperFast round if you're ready for a couple
Sure.
rapid fire questions. All right, what's your biggest piece of advice to a new real estate agent?
See property.
What is one thing that you think successful agents don't do that they should?
Probably time blocking. Like really like putting in like getting specific with your calendar. Even for like the little things from like prospecting to running evaluations to you know, business planning to content creation.
What's one thing that you think agents should do now that that they're missing out on in 2022?
Create content, promote it on social media.
So do you think we're still early in the content creation and, you know,
Totally.
influencer
I think
building?
you know, if you really look at it, there's probably like 5% or 10%, you know, like that are really doing it. Like that's part of their business, that they're committed to it, they're consistent. I think we're very early on in the process. Like, yeah, I talk to agents all the time about their marketing, and they're just, you know, majority of them just aren't doing it consistently.
All right. What's a challenge that you've had in real estate, and what did you learn from it?
I have challenges every day, you know, in real estate. You know, things never go your way. I think having a really, like, a short-term memory, really focus on, like, moving forward, not backwards, because you're going to lose a lot of deals. Like, you have to have a winner's mentality, and winner's mentality is, like, it's a short-term mentality. Like, you can't let things bother you. You can't get them down. You know, I think energy is really important. Having a positive attitude, having a winner's mentality, and you just have to be like going in one direction always, and that's forward.
All right, last question. Where do you see yourself 10 years from now?
10 years, I see myself as having one of the top real estate marketing agencies in the world. I feel like there's a decent amount of marketing agencies out there. But I think a lot of them like started, let's just say, like building websites and kind of like spread out. Like I feel like I built this agency on, you know, doing social media and then kind of going out from there. And I think social media these days is more important than a website. Like more eyeballs are on your Instagram account, TikTok, and YouTube than like people actually going to your website. I feel like websites are just billboards right now. So I think, you know, I really have this edge where like I think I'm one of the leaders in managing realtors' social media, that I can kind of, as I'm growing, and I've had such like my growth has been tremendous in 2 years in the business, where, you know, 10 years from now I could have like 1,000 clients, and, you know, it's kind of like a powerhouse of all the like the marketing that I think I could be, you know, offering like real estate agents. And I think these days, like it's fun to be a real estate agent. Like look at $1 Million Listing. Like we're doing stuff that we're our own boss. We make our own schedule, and you know, we really just have fun with it. Like TikTok, if you look at TikTok, it's all comedy with real estate. Like, you know, I think we can laugh at ourselves. We have fun with our job. You know, we're people persons. Like we love being around people. So like creative marketing is here to stay, and social media isn't going anywhere. So I think I think I'm like plugged in the right platform, and I'm like really like I'm adding value to agents. I'm just really helping them, you know, take what they're doing to another level. And honestly, they can't. We're too busy to do it that well on our own, or we don't have the skill set. So I'm providing them with a service that really allows them to kind of have to like execute on their vision.
All right, Ryan, thank you so much. It's been an amazing interview and just cool to see all the different things you've built. Before we sign off, can you tell people a little bit about the book and then different ways they can connect?
Yeah, so the book is the Very Social Broker. My agency is Very Social, and honestly, I'm freaking social. I love, you invite me to a party, I'm there. I'm talking to people all day long. Like, real estate agents are social. I think you guys should be very social. I think you should be very social online. You can follow us at Very Social NYC. Our website is verysocialnyc.com. My Instagram handle is Ryan G Sells NYC, SELLS, and you can find same handle on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn. I'm everywhere, and I think if you really want to see kind of like how someone can market themselves on 5 different platforms, like I'm a really great example of that. I don't recommend it for everybody, but you know, it's something that I think really like it just increases my reach, and it's like the more people I reach, the more people I touch, the more business that's going to come my way.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on this show today, Ryan. If you're listening to this, check out the book, connect with Ryan, and thank you for tuning in to this episode. We'll see
Thanks,
you next
Dan. Have a good one.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the HyperFast Show. Subscribe to us if you want to make sure you get the latest and greatest HyperFast shows. And remember, we love reviews. Reviews help us bring better and better guests and improve our shows. So give us the good, the bad, and the ugly. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we will see you next time.
Hey guys, thanks for sticking around to the end. I hope you enjoyed that video, and if you want to see more, click right here. And if you want 100 real estate tips from my best-selling book, click right here to download them instantly. And if you're new to this channel, click below to subscribe and turn on post notifications so you don't miss out. And leave some comments about what you think on the videos.